On this Halloween episode of the DNVR Avalanche Podcast, there aren't a whole lot of players left on the lineup to talk about, so we figured why not talk about their systems instead. We'll talk Avalanche defensive organization. Let's start the show. Welcome in to the Toyota Lounge, powered by your Front Range Toyota dealerships. This is the DNVR Avalanche Podcast. Are we sponsored by Bet365? I forget. We are sponsored by Bet365. Happy Halloween, everybody who enjoys. Maybe a little bit of spookiness on today's show when it comes to some Avs defensive lapses. I can't keep doing this costume, but I'm glad that I started with it. I'm going to take it off now so I can see what we're doing. He can leave his on. That'll be good. That's good for the show. We wanted to get into some of the, I guess not film, but we can get the whiteboard out and break down some of the Avalanche defense from the forecheck all the way back down to the end zone defense top to bottom. So should be a fun little show. I want to pick your brain about some of this Avalanche system stuff.
How'd you know it was me?
I know. I just have a sixth sense about these types of things, all right? Might have been the BU logo, though. I might have given it away.
Other side. Lost to DU last year.
Look, for starters, the Avs right now, the reason I want to talk about systems is because there just isn't much to say about their lineup as a whole. You have the guys who you have, and you have to make the best of the situation. Sometimes nights like last night are going to happen when you're playing your 18th guy in the lineup and you have six dudes that are at best playing above their station.
Yeah. I mean, again, we talked about it last night, right, at length. Before the game, you got to be almost perfect defensively, right? And we all know that they weren't. Obviously, the first 5 minutes was far from perfect. It was actually disastrous at times. I love the way you say it all the time, score effects. And, they don't score on those plays. It ends up being a 0-0 game, and they keep playing that way, then you probably end up with a situation where the Avs give up about, 30, 40 scoring chances if they would have kept going the same way. But because Tampa cashed in and, they took that big lead, then obviously you play more conservative hockey after that. It's just the way it is. It's the way it's life. Yep. It's human nature. So, but those first 5 minutes were pretty disastrous. There's a couple goals there. It's absolutely it's not acceptable because you can't start games like that, and you feel bad because it's the guy's first game in net for your team. Give him those grade A's, and again, like we talked about, we would have liked to save on the first one, didn't get it. Overall, soft.
I'm glad you brought it up because that entire game is score effects.
It is.
Please don't tweet at me, oh, well, the Avs dominated possession. Oh, look at how much they deserve to win with the deserve to win-o-meter or whatever it is. Those statistics are not accurate
because
because
the one I texted
it
you
does
this
not
morning.
include the context of the game.
Like the one I texted you this morning.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Like, what is that? I'm looking at this and I'm like, this is the dumbest
the Avs
graphic I've ever
didn't have
seen.
an 80% deserve to win that game. They were down 3-0 in the first 6 minutes. That doesn't work. Yes, they dominated possession because Tampa had 2 shots on goal in the third period because it was 4-1 and they were just done with the game trying to go home.
Why would you try something when you're already up?
The context of where the game is at is extremely important when you come into looking at any statistics, let alone advanced statistics.
And I know if you look at the press conference after the game and listen, what do you expect the coach to say? No, we're going to quit. We're done. It's over. We suck.
And I think I will say it is a valid point that while the Avs were always going to lose that game after that start,
they didn't quit. I know
they did not quit.
No,
exactly right.
And you heard the players say that, and that's the silver lining, right? Of what happened yesterday because they did play better hockey afterwards. And, but again, too little, too late. And I think that last year, if you saw it a few times, right? Not we did, but if you remember the Avs a few times, all of a sudden they're down by 2-3 goals and they're making comebacks. Well, like Rudo just alluded to like a few minutes ago, with that lineup last night, it's a little hard to do. You know what I mean? Like things really have to be with you. The hockey gods have to be on your side. The bounces have to be on your side. And, and you maybe can't have the big cat Vasilevsky on the other side. You know what I mean? Like,
doesn't help. Yeah.
That doesn't help. So the combos, even though I kept saying like, oh no, there's still a lot of hockey left, you were right. I mean, like you were right. You had that feeling at the start of the game. I didn't. But I tried to stay positive in the sense that
I appreciate the positivity.
That was not about.
I do,
it was more like deep down, you're like, yeah, this is not turning because of all the things we just talked about.
Yep. No, I 100% agree, and there's nothing wrong with seeing the avenue to a win.
Yep.
But it's just hard.
I didn't believe it. How's that? You might have said it. I didn't believe it.
Even with your best players in the lineup, if you're down 3 goals in 6 minutes, it's hard to see the path to success. It just is.
Yeah, it's just not a right recipe, right? No. With that kind of lineup. So, hey, turn the page, move on, and hopefully they compete like they said they did yesterday. The silver lining, when the puck gets dropped Saturday, and not 5, 6, 7 minutes into it.
Yeah, at least be competitive. Is the answer. I'd be honest. What the results are going to be, what they're going to be with the lineup that the Avs have. It sounds like they probably won't get anyone back until Tuesday.
And might lose Steinberg. Who knows? We'll see. We're still
I'm
saying you're still
it could, it's an option. Guy. It's an option, yeah.
You remember you had Shillington playing forward, so now you would have somebody else playing. I mean, that's how deep they are right now. That's how
it's tough.
Deep in numbers they are.
It's tough out here. There's no doubt about that. The Avs are scraping the bottom of the barrel to just try and put a full lineup together at this point. I mean, I guess you probably just play 7D with Ludwig and 11-7 it with Shillington as a forward.
Yeah,
that's pretty tough.
Something like that, yeah. I mean, who knows, right?
Which I think, if it were me, he wouldn't get a suspension, but
I'm with you on that.
We'll see in the end. Look, I want to get into the defensive structure, and I know I said I don't really want to talk about personnel, but you kind of have to start there. Because when you look at the Avalanche defensive structure, and this is true of any team, but it's very important that you have a cohesive connection between your actual defensemen and your forward core, especially when you're talking about a 200-foot defensive play, which the Avs generally this season are pretty aggressive when it comes to things like their forecheck. You have to have, at minimum, good communication between all your players out on the ice. How much of it is, especially when you're looking at a forward with that, trying to connect your team together back to your D, how aware do you have to be, and how much of this is, hey, just step by step, follow your process?
Yeah, step by step, follow your process. I agree, but you hear that term all the time, 5-man units, right? You know what I mean? And that's...
How much, I guess what I'm asking is how much free thinking is a forward doing defensively, and how much of it is just a robotic, this is where I go?
Well, I think it starts, even look at those first 2 goals yesterday. Really, maybe we can use this a little bit.
Yeah, we should be able to.
What do I do here? I just hold it. No, I already messed it up.
Hold. All right, we already broke it.
Yeah, my fault.
Oh, wait, sorry. You're going to hit play.
Oh. If you're looking at it, let's say this is the, home net, right?
Yeah.
Is it the first goal, Kucherov? Yeah, Kucherov, the first goal.
From out high.
Right. It's a face-off right here in the offensive zones.
Stop right there, because I want to talk about that face-off.
Yeah. Okay.
Jared Bednar gets out-coached on this face-off.
I agree.
The Tampa Bay Lightning put out their third line for that face-off.
Yeah.
Jared Bednar matches with his third line with Shillington on it, which is what it is.
Yeah.
When Tampa wins that face-off, John Cooper immediately pulls his third line off and puts his first line back on.
Yeah.
So he gets that matchup. He gets the matchup of Kucherov versus the Avs' third line.
Yeah.
So he kind of rope-a-doped Bednar a little bit into getting that third line out there. Now, to be fair, if the Avs win that face-off, Cooper can't change his line.
Yeah.
But I think it was something worth noting that the way you end up with a Shillington defending a Kucherov is because Cooper set that play up.
Yeah, and again, and that's where I'm trying to say, Depleted lineup. Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever. If you're going to start matching and, I know the Avalanche are more about, we worry about ourselves, right? But right now in a situation like this, they got to worry a little bit about the lineup that they're icing, right?
Yep.
Shillington, not a real forward. I'm not too sure what the Avalanche really preach in a sense that on the lost face-off, right? But Shillington, you can tell if you look at the replay. He what do you call that? The clutch. He double clutches it. You know? He's like,
he's just lost as a forward. I don't blame him. I mean,
no,
yes.
I'm talking about on the far side right here.
No, I don't.
Right, he's a left winger right here.
I'm saying he just doesn't know where he is.
That's my point. You can tell.
I can't blame him for.
No, that's it. But what I'm saying, when we talk about 5-man units.
Yeah, you're right.
Know what I
That's
mean?
a fair point.
So for me, the goal again. There's many culprits in each goal. We always talk about it with the goalie being the last line of defense. The Avalanche, if you look back at that goal, part number one was right here. You know what I mean?
For sure.
It's not well done.
Yep.
It just was not well done. It's a wrong forecheck. You can see Shilly. Again, I'm not blaming him. He's double clutching it because he's not sure, right? Then he's looking, and then so that kind of makes them have a controlled breakout, where they go, and then they're able to make that pass across. Mm-hmm. And, what's his name? Kucherov is turning and then picking up speed, whatever it is. And then he's able to go untouched all the way down.
Yep.
Right? Makes his play, and he finds his way back right here. So if you do all the loops right here that you're looking at right there, that 5-man unit was not tight. Mm-hmm. It started with the 3 forwards, not connected with the 2 Ds. And then when Shilly comes back right here, obviously he's not too sure. He's usually a defenseman where, he's already low. Av system or not.
So I want to show you part of the. Does this reach? Is it long enough?
It should be fine.
Okay.
Well, let me just,
I want to show you, and I'm not going to say who's who, and I want you to. I want to talk to you about on this play.
Yeah.
What it looks like in the defensive zone.
Yeah.
All right. So you have 3 players.
You can go back. You can go back. Yeah, you begin.
You have 3 players, 3 Avs defending here.
Yeah.
And then you have a Tampa player going like this.
Are we talking right now about the Kucherov one-timer?
Yes,
okay.
Correct.
All right, make sure we're on the same play.
Here. Good enough. And then you have here. And then you have Kucherov, who ultimately is going to get a pass from the guy in the corner. Man, it's hard to draw on this thing.
Yeah.
Look, the Avs, you have your 2 defensemen.
Yep.
You hand off behind the net.
Yep.
That sets up for, there's another Tampa player here.
Yep.
So your defenseman on the far side has to run with the puck carrier. That leaves your F3 to play the guy net front there.
Yep.
How does Kucherov end up open on this play? Is it this problem right here? Or is it this problem right here?
Well, if you ask me, and this is where, and what's your best way to describe, for example, the Avs coverage in their zone? It's a little bit of a hybrid, man-on-man slash.
It's mostly man-man.
Yeah,
but
which I don't like. And again, I know they've had success. This is me personally, the player talking, because I would get lost. I don't like man-on-man, you know what I mean? Because my brain doesn't function that way. Yeah. So, but we all know that the Avs play man-on-man slash, and they will even chase up to the point, as we saw a couple games ago when G's almost at the blue line. And, so for me, when it comes down to, it's a little bit of, I believe it was Kovalenko on the right side, right? If I remember.
It was, yes.
Yeah. So I think he does a poor job, my fault, bad job of, his head's not on a swivel, so he allows the pass to get through, even though technically is that his guy? Not really, because the high, obviously the defenseman's supposed to be there. But he is loose right there, like the rest of the play. The whole 20 seconds are loose. It's just not right. Everything is not tight, not connected. And then, this is where I'm not too sure. I'd love to have Prater right here too and tell us, you know what I mean? Like, hey, this is this guy, you know what I mean? Are you easier on the board?
Here, let me see if I feel better about it on board.
But you got to remember, here's what I'll say. You watch so much videos while he's drawing this. Here's what I'll say. You watch so much video on the opposition. So if I'm Tampa yesterday, obviously they watched the opposition, which is a Colorado Avalanche, and they're like, this is how they defend. This is where you can catch them. So you can tell that they already had drawn up that space or area where it could be trouble for the Avs defending. And, if I go back to my thing here, you know what I mean? You can see that Kucherov finds his way, all of a sudden, like he comes back and he's right here, right in the, I call that the filet mignon, you know what I mean? The best part of the steak, you know what I mean? And next thing you know, he obviously just gets it threaded right there, and he's not even thinking about it. It's a one-timer. And again, we talked about it. Would you like a save by Kaapo Kähkönen? Yes. Again, is that a weak goal? No. Is that a good scoring chance? Yes. But at some point, you have to make saves. And this is not just Georgiev. That is anybody. That is from Squirts all the way to the NHL. So, but you can tell they had talked about it in those video sessions, saying this is where they can be. And I do believe they're one of the best in the National Hockey League. And I know Rudo doesn't like that play where McKinnon always ends up like
the
right up the
shot.
top. Yeah. I believe Tampa mastered that. Their 2 cup runs there, meaning their 2 Stanley Cup championships, they were so good at it, and it's hard, and it confuses, obviously, like it confused the Avs right there, because you're like, am I going up, or who's going, or am I going, or do I chase?
Exactly.
Yes.
And that's kind of what I wanted to get into, and I don't know if we can see this very well on this board or not.
Not, I'll go on this one.
But, so you can kind of see the way that Tampa plays this, the man who goes behind the net here, you do the handoff with your defenseman.
Yep.
The defenseman on the far side is going to pick him up. But because of the way Tampa set up their offense, that near side defenseman is now covering nothing. Right?
Yep.
There's just open ice. There's not even really a player for him to defend. And that leaves decisions to get made. Parker Kelly, who's this man in the middle, he takes the guy down low in front because the far side defenseman has to follow the puck carrier. And that leaves essentially Tampa creating a 4-on-5 by them moving the Avs defense around. Now, up top, this is a mess. Kovalenko tries to take away the pass to the point, which isn't there, instead giving up a much more dangerous play in the middle of the ice. However, I think Kovalenko is thinking, well, there's an extra guy on the far side of the ice, so I'm expecting Shillington to rotate over to the middle and help. Or possibly he's expecting, I think this was, DeHaan down here? I forget which defenseman this was.
Do not remember.
But maybe expecting DeHaan to rotate towards the middle of the ice, pick up the deep man, and having Kelly step out to the guy up high. He's expecting one of his backside forwards to help him up high.
Yes.
That doesn't happen, and Kovalenko ends up covering the wrong pass, and you have a guy open in the middle of the ice.
And that's where I say this is all that's good coaching. John Cooper's a good coach. And, I think this is where you can expose the Avalanches in situations like that. Not just the Avalanche, but whoever plays a system that way. I like it. I'm not saying that. They don't give up a lot of scoring chances, the Avalanche, obviously. They're a puck possession team, and it does work for them. They have a championship to prove it. But now me as a player, that is just a player talking. I'm just not in favor. Maybe this is my brain. I consider myself, I wasn't fast, but I did think the game fast. I'm not giving myself kudos. I'm just being honest. I did think the game fast, especially defensively. But I wouldn't have liked to play the way they play. That is just me. Again, that's just a preference. Maybe they would have said beat it then and kick me out and trade me somewhere.
Modern NHL, it's very fast, buddy.
I'm not saying it. But I just like the fact that I like it when I don't like man on man. I like when you defend with areas. You know what I mean? So if you very simple.
Before you get into this, I do want to talk about it. But before that, we do.
My fault.
Have to let you know that you can go get yourself a Coors Light. I got to tell you, and I bet Eric will confirm this. There have been some nights where you're working on the whiteboard, you're putting a few brews back, right?
Yes.
Make sure it's a Coors Light. Make sure you're chilling while you're breaking down your hockey plays. Go get yourself the beer literally made to chill. The mountains turn blue on the mountain, on the can or the bottle even, and you can get it delivered right to your front door with CoorsLight.com/DNVR thanks to Instacart. So go find it. If you want to go to your liquor store, they're in every liquor store in the country. You can get it on tap right here at the DNVR bar. You name it. Or if you're lazy like me and on the couch, CoorsLight.com/DNVR. Of course, Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Please drink responsibly. And once you've got yourself a Coors Light, once we've learned you up on some of the systems here, maybe go make some bets about it on Bet365.
Yes.
Got a good read on someone playing the Avs system as well? You can throw some money down on them. You bet $5 on anything with code DNVR365 when you sign up, and you get $200 in bonus bets. So jump on that offer with Bet365. It also includes 2 months of Altitude Plus. If you want to watch your Avs and Nuggets, you can do it with the DNVR365 code over at Bet365. Plenty of other stuff to bet on, too. I guess baseball's over now, but you got basketball, you got football, you got all sorts of other fun stuff to bet on. Jump in. Of course, when you do gamble with Bet365, you must be 21 or older, physically located in Colorado. And if you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER today. All right, E, back to what you're talking about, the zone versus man-on-man.
I'm more like, I'm more like a zone guy in a sense that if the puck is in the corner, right? You know what I mean? I just like to be, I don't know the easiest way to do it. So that would be, obviously that's one zone, right? You know what I mean? Obviously then, the winger is doing this area, right? The winger. Yep. Obviously the D is right here, and then obviously the center is patrolling that side, and then obviously you got this area right here that's pretty much covered by the other winger, and then you got this one that's more the other D, right? Yep. And then the puck goes on the other side, and then everything flips. And for me, I find it easier to cover ice, to cover zones, you know what I mean, instead of covering men.
Sure.
That's just always how I've been. That's always how I've had success. I think the number one thing that you have to be weary is to have your head on the swivel, and what that means is you can't be caught puck watching the way I'm talking about. If you puck watch, you can't play this way because you're just gonna get burnt. Guys like Cale Makar would just eat you alive. You know what I mean? And then even when you play this way, it does create confusion because once guys from the other team start moving around, the number one thing is communication. So obviously the Avs are a good communicating team. They know their systems. They've had with Coach Bednar and Prater and Ray and everybody for 9 years now. This is their 9th year together. So they know what to expect. The bench is a crucial part of this too. So trust me, it's way easier to play in your own end in the first and third period because you don't have the far bench. So you can actually yell a lot, and you can actually. I'm gonna make a very big statement here. You can actually hear the guys on the ice and the guys on the bench to tell you what to do. You can't hear the guy yelling from the 300s, telling him to shoot or do whatever. I'm just being honest with you guys. You can't, and that is not rude, but it's just saying so communication is key, and I think that man on man creates a little bit more problems because you're chasing the guy and you're so focused on that guy that it's so hard to see what's going on. Besides if you're covering zones, you know what I mean? And you have your head on the swivel and there's good communication, I find it's easier. That's just me. Obviously, I'm not coaching the Colorado Avalanche. I don't have the coach Bednar's resume, so I'm not arguing him. I'm just talking here purely as a player, talking how much easier it is to defend when you're defending zones instead of men on man.
And I will say the Avs man system does require a significant amount of cohesion that, yes, they do play man on man, but you have a skater just like on the first goal going in behind your own net. Yeah. There's going to be a handoff there. It is a man on man system, but the defenseman covering him has to let him go, and the other defenseman on the other side has to realize, I have to pick up this guy. This is my man now. And I don't think this is necessarily a negative. No. But I think when you look at someone like a Shillington in the Avs organization who has never played any other system outside of Calgary's, I know he's had a couple different coaches, but still, there's so many fine little details in the Avs defensive systems that there's a lot to pick up and a lot to learn, and it can be a struggle, especially if you are talking about players that aren't necessarily the highest hockey IQ players. There can be a lot of little stuff that a small error defensively can cause a big problem very quickly.
And a lot of times you can see the Avs. I'm going to be really harsh here on the Avs top lines, and they spend so much time in the offensive zone. They spend so much time with the puck that when they are pinned down in their own end, everybody's sometimes like, "Oh my God, look at them, they're lost." No, it's not that they're lost. It's they spend so little time in their own end that they don't have the what do you call that? All the the experience. They don't. I mean, like me, I stink. I would be stuck in my own end the whole time, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I get this. All right, I get it. Where these guys are like, I don't want to be in there. I don't want to be in my zone. So maybe that's, sometimes they do get lost, and then they look a little bit lackadaisical. They're like, oh, he doesn't care. No, it's not that. It's just that those guys are so good offensively. They don't get to spend. They don't practice a lot, in games about their systems back in their own end.
I want to move on to the second goal a little bit and talk about the lead up to the second goal with the Avs forecheck. Ostensibly, if you look at what I've drawn here, in the simplest terms, the objective of a forecheck is to have the other team play on the outside of this triangle that I've drawn. Draw lines from the goalpost to your own blue line along the wall.
Yeah.
Keep them out of the middle of that triangle. Keep them to the edges of that triangle. That's what the objective of your forecheck is.
Yes.
So when you have a guy coming down, in this case it was Kovalenko, he's your forechecking forward.
Yeah.
He's going to come down to this side of the net, and the puck is in here behind the back of the net. You have that set up right there. All right, that's very simple. What you have is Tampa going to carry a puck out towards Kovalenko here. And Kovalenko on this play, instead of attacking the puck carrier, slides out to the wall and allows room for this guy to skate right up the middle of the ice. If they beat you with the pass through the middle, all right, nice play. You cannot let a body beat you to the middle of the ice when it comes to your forecheck.
Yeah.
You're just giving them free space. Kovalenko actively moving out of the way of that play. Show me what a quality forecheck is supposed to look like on that thing.
From the same as what you're showing, right?
Sure. I trust you to show me a good forecheck because that wasn't one.
Well, first of all, it starts with angling. If you have the wrong angle, you're screwed. You know what I mean? And I don't want. It doesn't matter if you're standing still.
Yep.
As soon as you start moving, if you're moving wrong, if you're moving at a straight line, or if you go back to Covey yesterday, where he goes on a straight line like this, then you're toasted. You're cooked.
Sure.
So you want to make sure that you're always at an angle, and then you're pushing everything towards the wall, right? You know what I mean? And then once you go, and then a pass is, if a pass is gone back the other way, then it's, you're going back, and then your other guy's now angling, right? You know what I mean? You got to make sure that you can't go straight lines. It's all about surfing. They call that surfing in the NHL now.
Yep.
Back then we called it angling. Next week it'll be called something else. But whatever. At the end of the day, it's all like it's math. It's physics. It's all angles. But yesterday on that goal, it's just wrong. Not just from Covey. I remember. It starts with him.
It starts with Covey.
You know what I mean? And then after that, everything is wide open. And next thing you know, untouched.
Yep.
Goes all the way. And again, it's the 5-man units. There's no cohesion. They were not tight, the 2 Ds and the 3 4s. And I'll tell you one thing on a bench, it's very normal. Sometimes it's like a little bit like a household when you're fighting with your brothers and sisters, and because then the Ds will look at the forwards and they'll start yelling at them and, oh, do your job. You know what I mean? And then the forwards are like, yeah, shut up, do your job. And then ultimately you end up blaming the goalie. That's just what you do, right? Because that's it's life, right? So forwards blame Ds, Ds blame goalies, and then coaches are just like, oh, who cares? I'll just pick one. But yeah, get back to your thing there. Go back to your triangle, because I want to put something else too about after that.
Yeah, me too. That's where I'm headed.
Yeah, go.
Look, so yes, there's a poor forecheck here.
Yeah.
Ultimately, look, your forwards are not going to prevent the breakout every time. The Avs actually do a pretty good job. They're pretty aggressive below the goal lines.
Yeah.
They get their forwards in there.
Yeah.
Once one creates a little bit of chaos, they're pretty good about having a second aggressive guy coming on the
keep
backside.
going, because I know what you're going to say. So you and I mean, we're on the same page. So
Do
keep
you?
going. Yes.
Because I'm going to jump to the blue line.
The D. Yeah. You make your play the blue line.
Correct.
Yeah, exactly.
The
That's
Avs-
why I know what you're going to say.
The Avs' defensive systems,
Yes.
their objective is to stop the play before it even happens. They're trying to prevent a zone entry in the first place.
Yeah.
And that leads to, usually the Avs will run 3, sometimes if they're playing safe, 4 players around, a little above, a little below their own blue line when an entry is coming at them.
Yeah.
And look, the reality is there are some risks to playing this way. Now, the Avs defense has some of the best sticks in the league. They're very, very good at poking pucks off of sticks.
Why are you talking about Josh Manson on that goal?
I'm getting there. I'm getting there. And this is where, again, the triangle comes back into play. Because if you can force them up the walls then it's very easy to just, for a defenseman, your objective is to just seal them off to the wall the whole way. Do not give up the inside of the ice, push them to the wall, and eventually they just run out of room and have to dump the puck.
Yep.
It's very simple conceptually. In practice, it can be a whole lot harder.
Yep.
Number one, you have to control the speed very well. You have to understand how fast the player who's coming at you is going, because if you don't control that gap correctly, they're either going to beat you up the wall or on the outside and burn you, or they're going to try and cut and make a move to the inside. And if you don't play the body effectively, then yeah, you just got put on a highlight reel.
Yeah.
That's exactly essentially what happens to Josh Manson on this play. Josh Manson is at the blue line. There's a puck carrier coming down at him that cuts in and makes a move here. Manson is trying to step up and misses him.
Yeah.
Right like this. So because Manson misses that play, because he's not able to effectively play the body, it creates an odd man rush for Tampa Bay. Because when you step up in the NHL, you can't miss. It's that simple. All right. How do you see it?
No, I see it the same way.
Sure. How do you prevent that mistake from Josh Manson?
Well, if I go back, because I remember we said it when it happened, you and me were like, oh, that's a tough one. I don't remember if he took it. I think he jumped in the wrong way, right? His angle was wrong. I always talk about angles, but his angle was wrong, but he did not have the backside pressure, to make it happen. And when you do that, you're flat-footed a little bit because that's the way they play, right? If you go to my board here, it's like they want to make sure that this is where they break plays up, right? This is where... and then Josh, comes in at a tough angle there in a sense that because, listen, you just said something 2 seconds ago, and I'll reiterate it. If you do it right, you will dictate where the opposition's going to put pucks.
Yeah, exactly.
So, on this play and on the first 2 goals, they really didn't dictate anything. They let Tampa dictate what they were going to do. And, right there on Manson, I'm not too sure where you want me to go with it, but Manson takes the wrong one, does not have the backside pressure, and then there's full control, and then you're in scrambling mode or squirrely mode, and then you lose guys.
So what I kind of want to ask you about this is, what is the next step there in a situation where it's a 3-on-3 coming down the ice? Is the onus just on Manson to either not make that play unless he's 100% sure it's going to work, or does there need to be something that is another layer, a fail-safe for if Manson fails to rub out that play?
Well, yeah, but Manson if the guys on the ice don't do their job, he's in no man's land.
No,
right? You know what I mean? So it's like, I gotta go. You know what I mean? But he's like. It's so not tight that he goes, but he doesn't do it right because his angle's bad too. But then you got to have some backside pressure, and obviously your third man high that comes over, or your D that comes across.
So I guess my question is it bad execution or a bad decision from Josh Manson?
I think it's more a bad decision, I'm going to say, but you're so wired and programmed that it's usually done right.
Yeah.
So now when it doesn't exist, you're like, oh, that's when you're like, and that's why I said the fights start on the bench. They do, because it's like, do your job so I can do mine. You know what I mean? And then he's like, what do I do now? And then Josh Manson's a physical guy, and obviously he's flat-footed, so he's like, oh, I'm just going to try to hit him. I'm going to try to rub him out, and I can't because then the guy just goes right around them.
So, yeah, I think for me that's part of the conversation is my problem with Manson's decision on this play is not trying to take away the space.
Yeah.
It's that he steps up.
Yes.
He can't play that as aggressively as he did,
Bad angle.
knowing that at best this is a 3-on-3 for the Avalanche.
Yes.
If you step up and get burned, it's automatically an odd man rush. You can keep your gap, you can angle him to the boards, and then rub out the play that way. Instead of trying to step up into a big hit, if you just sit back and relax a little bit, this is a nothing play. Instead, and look, Josh Manson's a really good defenseman. 80% of the time, he's going to get the body, he's going to make the play, and the Avs have the puck going the other way. But there's a bit of a lack of situational awareness if you step up when you could be giving up an odd man rush in that situation.
But a lot of times is because you have a bad gap because the forwards, and again, I'm a forward, the forwards are not doing their job, therefore creates a bad gap. And it's like, it's easy to blame the D, but it really is not the D's fault. You know what I mean? It's the forward's fault.
I mean, the play is the D's fault.
No, the
but
play.
Yeah,
where
I
it
agree.
ends up is the D's fault, but the way it unfolds is the forward's fault because it makes the D's have a bad gap, and then you make a bad decision.
Well, I don't even know that it's necessarily a bad gap. My problem is the Avs did not have this forward back checking that I'm showing you right now. If that forward is there and he's coming back into the zone he's going to replace your defenseman, then Josh Manson can step up every single time and your defenseman backfills and it's still a 3-on-3 and you're fine. But that forward was not there on that play. And Manson needs to recognize that and not take the risk of stepping up. So
I love it.
And to be clear, these are millisecond decisions that are happening on the ice that quickly, and it's unbelievably difficult to see the ice and understand and make the right decisions in the moment.
But if
I'm not trying to say that it's easy.
If I played a game yesterday, like I'd be the worst Corsi player, first of all, on the team, but I would be -10, and I know we don't like plus minus, but I would be the direct cause of 10 goals against in my 8 shifts because he had no choice. He left me out there one time. So then I caused 2 goals in 1 shift. But, you know, it's tough. This league is so fast. And again, we'll talk about that, about Gabe Landeskog when he comes back and everything. It's more, that's what I'm trying to say. It's not the physical part. It's the mental part and the awareness of what's around you and to be able to make decisions. We talk about Cal Ritchie. You know what I mean? Like, this is exactly what Cal's a very skilled guy. He's going to be a good player in the NHL, but you have to be able to process it on the fly, and it's not easy to do. It's easy with a marker, right? And a thing here.
Oh, yeah. Me sitting on the couch makes it look super easy.
I told
in reality,
you all the time,
not like
I'm
that.
a Hall of Famer from the, from the press box. Trust me. On the ice, boy, oh boy, it is tough, But the only thing I wanted to add, if I have 2 seconds here.
Go quick.
I just want to go quick. New Jersey Devils all those years in the 90s. People
Left
were always
wing
like,
lock,
oh, my God, wow, the left wing lock. Yes. But people don't realize they were one of the highest scoring teams in the NHL. Like, people were like, oh, they don't score goals. No, a couple years they finished first. But they always went back to one thing, and this is why I'm going to go to my board here. It's very simple. You see those dots?
Yeah.
Jacques Lemaire was huge on this. You keep everything to the outside.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's just when you have that mindset as a young defenseman, or if you're not sure, if you're Shilly yesterday, or you know what I mean, like, right? If you're not sure about the system, you revert back to that. So when in doubt, revert back to dots. Does that mean keep everything outside the dots? This is what you want to protect. It's inside the dots.
Yep.
Who cares if they're outside the dot? Let them be. And then regroup and figure it out from there.
Yep. And absolutely basics of defense there.
Yes.
Keep it out of the middle. That's what we mean when we're talking about that. What you want to do if you want to drive into the middle, go get yourself a Toyota.
Yes.
Toyota has a vehicle for everyone, 17 different all-wheel drive vehicles, 16 different hybrid vehicles. They can get you wherever you're going, whether it's up into the mountains, off-roading, or just into the city for your commute. They've got you fully covered. They've got trucks if you're hauling. They've got SUVs if you want to bring your dogs around. They've got sedans if you're just driving into a location downtown and you want easy parking. All of these are options with Toyota, so make sure you go get yourself into a Toyota. They are the official vehicle of DNVR and the official vehicle of the Colorado Avalanche. So you might as well have a look at your local Front Range Toyota dealerships, including, but not limited to, AutoNation Toyota Arapahoe in Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Mountain Toyota in Littleton, Mountain State Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota, the official vehicle of DNVR. And once you got yourself into a Toyota, you're also going to want to make sure that you can see on the roads, especially when you have to drive into the sun. Also, maybe if you want an excuse that you didn't see the Av systems, put on the sunglasses and say, I couldn't see them. It was too dark. Shady Rays. Go get yourself some at shadyrays.com. Use code DNVR and you get 35% off any of their polarized sunglasses. All sorts of different choices. Hundreds of choices. You can get different polarizations, different looks. Rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. So they're pretty good shades. And the coolest part is for the first 30 days, if you don't like them, you break them, or you lose them, Shady Rays will replace them entirely for free. So use that DNVR code. Go get yourself some Shady Rays for 35% off. And don't go blind looking into the sun. Usually a good thing. Jump on that offer at shadyrays.com. All right. getting back into some of these system conversations, and I like that you brought up Cal Ritchie because there's something that I wanted to talk about. I think you and I both had a lot of problems with the floatiness in his defensive game. Part of the reason that is so obvious in the Avalanche system is because they play man-on-man. You cannot afford to have anyone floating in a man-on-man system. You have to recognize where your man is, and you have to be marking him essentially at all times. Yes, there's complications with switches and that and the other thing, but if you kind of just float to the middle of the ice and you're kind of just moving around in the middle of the ice, not covering a guy, that means someone is directly open in a man-on-man system. So it's...
Yes, you can be at fault for not getting out of your own end.
Yep.
We talked about Redzy. I love you, buddy. Rob McLean. Playing an American League game with me back then.
Yep.
And if you're really not too sure what you're doing, you can screw it all up for the 5 guys on the ice, and you can't get out of your own end because now you're chasing.
Yep.
And that's exactly what happens when one guy messes up his assignment. It is tough to recover.
Mm-hmm. Here's something that I want to ask you, Eric, about the Av systems.
Yeah.
You're a winger.
Yeah.
A lot of board battles in your life.
Yes.
Let's say you have a puck carrier on the half wall.
Yeah.
And you're engaged in a board battle.
Yep.
At what point do you want your extra forward to come down and help you in this board battle? At what point do you want that forward to get in there instead of staying in his spot, protecting from passes to the middle? When do you want them to step in and help you win that thing?
Well, there's a saying too, and you hear me say it all the time: butts and elbows, right? You know what I mean? So, and on the PK especially. But when it ends up being a 5-on-5 battle, I think for me it's the same concept. You know what I mean? So I do believe that once you go, I believe in swarming teams. I don't believe in I believe in help. You know what I mean? And I think that the situation will. The way I would play it defensively, where is not the way they play. I get, you know what I mean? I don't like the man-on-man for that reason, because if one guy gets beat, you're in chase mode, you know what I mean? And if I'm in a puck battle, I want the guy to come help me once he sees that, and again, my back is to him. I don't see him. This is where he can help me, the guy that's close to me, right? Communication. Yep. And it's like something's as dumb as a little chip or push it right, or you know what I mean? And then because then you know that obviously their D is going to pump down on you, right? Or whoever is going to be there. So I think for me, as soon as there's a 50-50 battle, and you hear that all the time, 50-50, I need the help. You know what I mean? And that's the way I look at it. Now, if it's a 10% chance I'll come up with then you don't belong there. I mean, what are we doing?
Right.
Here?
And then you have to recognize,
on a 50-50 battle, for me, you swarm the puck, you go, and then I need all the help. But trust me, I need all the help you can get. But that's the way I look at it.
I think that's interesting because if you look at the Avs systems generally when it comes to the battles, when you look at these half-wall battles, the Avs usually let those be one-on-one battles. They're pretty comfortable with that. Yeah. But when you get a battle down in a corner, the Avs will send not one, not two, but they'll have 3 players go in deep to try and win a puck battle down in a corner. And I don't know that I would call it high risk, but it's extremely aggressive because if you lose that puck battle, your defensive structure is now essentially non-existent. Yeah. If you commit to a puck battle that badly, you need to win them if you're going to send that many guys.
Yes.
And I wanted to talk about this because I wanted to talk about the next step when the Avs win a puck battle in their own zone.
Yeah.
The Avs' basic breakout, and this is the breakout they run most regularly, the onus is actually mostly on the defenseman and the F1 to make a play.
Yep.
As the Avs run it, let's say they turn over a puck, they get control of the puck in their own corner. How they like to break out is get this puck up the wall to what is essentially their F1.
Yeah.
And while they're getting that puck up, their F3, usually McKinnon, sometimes it's your F2, whoever, you have a forward in the middle of the ice that just takes off up the ice. Yep. And the objective is you get this puck up to the wall and you get to the middle, that area that Eric was talking about inside the dots, by a little chip pass from your winger along that wall to your guy streaking up the middle.
Yep.
That gets you into the neutral zone in the middle of the ice with speed. Yep. That is the objective of the Avs breakout. Pretty much anytime they're not doing a stretch pass at 5-on-5, this is how the Avs are looking to break out of their own zone defensively. And as much as I like the actual defensive X's and O's, the Avs' objective defensively is to get going the right direction. Yeah. Them breaking the puck out is as important, if not more important, than their actual defensive play. for the Avalanche. When you look at those plays, Eric, again, you're a winger, so you would know better than just about anybody. How much decision making is there in that wing to make this chip pass or to recognize that he has space and to use it?
How much is it?
Yeah, how much decision making is there for you?
Well, it all depends how they forecheck you, right? I mean, if there's room, you got to be able to see if you take what they give you. You know what I mean? If they're giving it to you, then you skate with it. Then obviously, you know, like you said, get the puck inside the dots because that's where you want the puck, right? You know, get the puck inside the dots, and then, sorry about that. And then obviously, if the guy doesn't do his job, then you are in no man's land there. Then you might have to go and get the red and dump it in. And then you're a dump and chase team, right? You know, it's like, and the Avs are not a dump. Some players on the Avs, the way their lineup is right now, should be a dump and chase team. You know what I mean, right? We talked about it yesterday. You got to know what you are and where you're at. But I think you got to make sure that what you're given is what you're going to use. But I think if the guy does his job, you make sure you hit him on that pass, and then obviously the far side D usually activates as well, right?
And so this is, I want to break down the Avs breakdown from this position.
Yep.
The Avs have often got a puck to this winger. Sometimes it's a little bit further down in the zone, whatever. This puck right there has to get out of the zone.
Yes.
I think one of the biggest problems we've seen with Nikolai Kovalenko, he gets this puck right here.
Yeah.
And he, instead of looking to, at worst, laterally pass this to someone or get it up and out of the zone, he is passing this puck back into his own zone, back into danger, back to where problems are going to happen. Yes, you want to maintain possession. Yes, you want to make a good play. You have to go north.
Yes.
You have to go north. And that's really the second problem with the Avs breakout. When they struggle right now, they're having trouble at times getting the puck out of their own zone. I think the number one reason for this, when you look at their D, they are very aggressively playing pucks to the wall. Maybe looking for a bank pass or, like I said, up to that. Teams right now, they're just sticking a guy at the half wall. And everything that goes up the wall for the Avalanche, you have to get it around that guy. You have to beat that guy with the puck. And the Avs are just kind of throwing pucks up the wall a little bit too casually. They have to use their eyes, recognize where that player is, and make a better play. A positive example of this, 2 nights ago against Chicago, you saw a fantastic breakout from Sam Malinsky in the middle of the ice, who gets the puck, recognizes the wingers or the defensive wingers on the other team are along the wall, so he uses his feet to skate the puck into space. It's... While the play, there is some decision-making for that winger, ultimately very simple to get the puck north. The defenseman has to make a read every single time he gets the puck in the defensive zone. He has to make a read and make the correct play. There's a lot of thinking that goes on in the Avs defensive systems when it comes to the breakout. I do want to continue with this, but first, we are brought to you by the folks over at Sexy Pizza. Go get yourself some sexy pizza. Maybe you end up with some sexy breakouts. Or maybe...
We're going to call it the sexy area.
The sexy area. That is the sexy area for sure. Maybe the other way around. You should maybe get to the sexy area, get some sexy pizza for getting there. Not the other way around. You might get a little bit sick. Yeah.
Sexy pizza.
Either way, go earn yourself some sexy pizza. They're more than your average By the Slice eatery. They're dedicated to top quality eats with civic and community interaction. Of course, they run a bunch of different fundraisers and all sorts of awesome stuff. They support nonprofits, schools, high school teams, clubs, and more. And they have a donation link on their website if that's your thing. They do a bunch of awesome stuff. And maybe most importantly, they make a great pizza. If you haven't had it, you got to go give Sexy Pizza a try today. You can go take a look at their everyday specials because they sell slices all day, every day. The base special comes with a fountain drink, but can be upgraded to a beer or a wine at locations that serve alcohol if that's your thing. Sexy Pizza, serving sustainability, community, and hand-tossed pizzas in Colorado. And once you've got a pizza in your hand, look, pizza's pretty good for my mental health. I'm not going to lie to you. But maybe you need a little bit more help than that, and that's okay. That's part of life. That's where BetterHelp comes in. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp, and you can get in with them very easily. It's a super easy way, especially if you're new to things like therapy, to jump in and get into that system. Jump on with them online entirely at betterhelp.com/DNVR. It's a great way to start, like I mentioned, entirely online, and their schedule is flexible and convenient. All you have to do is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and if you ever want to switch, you can do that at no cost to you at any time. So it's a great way to jump in. Again, a beginner level entry into therapy. I know a lot of people have never tried just because it's never been a thing that they've really thought about or never been an option. BetterHelp is that option. Go jump on with them at betterhelp.com/DNVR. That's betterhelp.com/DNVR today. Last period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. Eric, I want to do simple stuff as this kind of the first show we're really breaking down stuff. I know we said we talk about the defense mostly, but there's another thing that I want you to cover on that iPad.
Yep.
Show me the X's and O's for a good dump and chase setup.
Shoot. Tiff.
Oh, he broke it. Here, use the whiteboard. Just do that.
Yeah, but
Anyway, while Eric's getting that figured out, I know dump and chase is not a complicated play, but it's more complicated than just throw the puck into the zone and go get it, right? You need a correct setup to make it actually work if you're trying to possess the puck.
Yeah, I say that to Rudo all the time. Like, I'm always like, oh my God, the guy took a shot there just to take a shot. What a bad shot. You know what I mean? And then there's a whistle, and I'm like, oh my God, all I have to do is put at his feet instead of the guy's glove, and then you would be swarming them. They can't change. I call that a freebie. It's the same thing on a dump. On dumping the puck, you can't just dump the puck to say, I dumped the puck. I'm supposed to get rid of it. You know, you know, you have to have purpose behind it. You have to have a thought process behind it. Mm-hmm. And I'm a big believer. I mean, Florida Panthers probably won the Stanley Cup with hard rims. I mean, those guys practice hard rims. I saw Lecky yesterday and Druin practice the hard rims for, I swear, 20 minutes before practice yesterday. But Florida is really a hard rim team, right? And I like to, you know, have it where it's in the soft area. You know what I mean? I like to lay it down into a soft area, let the guy skate into it. You have to have sustained pressure for that. You also have to have some help. If you're not tight, you're screwed. You know what I mean? Because you're going to be dumping the puck in a place. They're going to be pivoting, grabbing it, and turning back around.
So I think that's an interesting conversation because there are two different situations.
Yep.
Let's say you're doing a hard rim.
Yep.
He's throwing this in hard all the way around.
Yep.
Because you rim it hard, you're going to get it up around the half wall, maybe even higher. Mm-hmm. That allows for your forward or whoever's going in and chasing this puck, they don't need to have as much runway. That puck is going to come out to them. They don't need to be going full speed. When you're talking about those soft lay-ins, here, let me show you this. This is essentially a hard rim means you're going around to the opposite side of the ice with the puck, and you're having a forward run into the zone on that side to go and collect it.
Yeah.
Because of the hard rim, again, they have less ground to cover as the forward. So if you're going to do a softer play, lay it into the soft spot where it's arguably the furthest away from any defenseman on the opposing team.
Yeah.
You need to understand and recognize as the forward going into the zone, you need to know when he's going to dump that puck, and you need to hit the blue line at full speed because you need to get way, way deeper into the zone to be able to collect and win that battle. Now, if you win the battle down there, you're in a much more dangerous position, and you can distribute low to high and set up your offense very quickly.
Yeah.
But I do think it takes more cohesion to make that play.
It takes more cohesion, and sometimes you hear people say like, "Oh my God, the guy went offside. How dumb is he?" Well, you know, he's actually
that can be on the dumper a lot of the time.
That's not even his fault.
Yeah.
It's the guy, you know, took too long to drop the puck in, and next thing you know, because it's an automatic, and that's how we do it. And again, you watch video sessions. It's not on the guy that went offside. It's on you that took too long. I wasn't going to say took too long to take a dump, which is wrong. I shouldn't say that. He just took too long to get the puck in, you know, if that makes sense.
There's one more play I wanted to cover with the whiteboard here, and that's the Avs power play.
Yeah.
What ends up happening and why specifically the Avs bumper play has been so successful is because of the elite players that they have on the ice. When you're against a penalty kill, particularly a penalty kill that plays a box, not a diamond, what ends up happening is their high forward is going to look out and see Cale Makar and says, "Oh God, I need to go challenge him." Your forward,
I think he says more than "Oh God." There's a couple F-bombs.
For sure.
Yeah.
Then your forward on the other side is looking behind him and saying, "Oh God, this is either Mikko Rantanen or Nathan McKinnon. I can't leave him open." So that opens up a space where now Cale Makar is going to go to the open side of the box, whichever side is challenging him, to find an open McKinnon or Rantanen. And then there's going to be this lane here that, in this case, Ivan, or it's been Ross Colton a lot, can step into.
Yep.
And you're pretty much guaranteed a quality chance from the middle of the ice because your best players have pulled this penalty kill out of position.
Yep.
And that's why it's so important that the Avs have someone like a Ross Colton with finishing ability on the power play that isn't one of the superstars. A guy who can finish plays from the middle of the ice and be that fourth option on the penalty kill, or on the power play rather. It's not a complicated play, but it keeps teams honest. And eventually, and we've already started to see this for the Avalanche, they're going to realize, hey, we're getting scored on by this bumper spot a lot. So, sure, maybe we have someone come out and challenge Cale Makar, but we're going to have another option to step up, take away that middle pass to the bumper. And that's where Nathan MacKinnon needs to shoot the puck more. He needs to start shooting the puck more on the power play for the Avalanche, because teams, the tape is out. They're recognizing the bumper play is what the Avs are looking for, or at times Mac's also trying the far seam to Mikko. But he's trying to hit that seam pass.
Well, how many times did you see Kucherov to point yesterday?
Yeah.
He was stubborn with it.
Right.
He was stubborn with it. And the Avs knew it because they do watch video, and then
but you have to keep teams honest. You have to. McKinnon needs to. And look, I'm at the top of the list of people who gets tired of Nathan McKinnon's one-timer. He needs to start using it again, because he has to get the respect of teams that he's willing to shoot the puck on the power play.
Love it. And if I can have one more thing
please
on the
do.
PK
Please do.
there, and again, it's if this thing ever works again. It works. I got it. So you hear me say it all the time, or us say it all the time. I'll use the nice words, butts and elbows. And then I always say, as obviously, if you're, we all know the Avs are on a diamond, but but let's say they're in the box right now, because I don't want to rewrite the whole thing there. When you hear butts and elbows, so whenever the puck is right here, and then you can see that the opposition, you can see his butt or his elbows. And you're going to hear me say that sometimes. One guy goes, they all go. So if this guy goes because he sees butts and elbows, then everybody goes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if one guy doesn't go, see how all of a sudden, like now, the squares right here, the whatever you want to call that, the box. Now, if one guy doesn't go, you know what I mean? And that's where you hear the terms, loose sometimes from Bednar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where all of a sudden, this thing doesn't erase quick. One guy goes, he's now here, and then this guy doesn't go, and then this guy goes, and then this guy doesn't go. Then they're loose.
Now you've got trapezoid.
That's it. Now you have a complete ham sandwich, and then it's really squirrely according to Rudo, and then you are messed up. And if you're playing a good team, they will make you pay. You know what I mean? Because you're too loose. One guy didn't do his assignment, and then all of a sudden it's a mess. So that's what that means when you hear it's a little too loose.
I will say, just to grow on that, if you remake the box for me, I want to use that thing because I know it's hard to see when you have everyone go, it is crucially important that these backside guys fill the seams. Oh, I broke it again. Okay, it doesn't matter.
You got it.
Well, you just have to redraw it. It's just because I erased everything.
I messed it again.
If you have half your box going, your backside guys have to fill the seams. Because if you give up a seam pass when you commit all four of your players to one half of the ice, guess what? A guy is all alone on the other half of the ice with all the room in the world. So you cannot let those passes through if you're going to commit to one side. It's extremely, extremely important. And the Avs are one of the better teams in the league at being in passing lanes and breaking stuff up. Yes, they play a diamond, so it's a little bit different, but the same application can be done to a diamond, where when you commit, it's not, lose my mind, chase the puck. It's, I'm committing to this side of the ice to be in the correct position to prevent anything from leaving this part of the ice. It's all about sealing stuff off on the defensive side.
And that's why your stick positioning and your stick, again, remember we said earlier, you dictate by your angles where the puck's going to go. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's the same thing with your sticks and those lanes in that box there. You got to make sure that you're dictating where you want the passes to go. Because, some elite players like Mac or whatever, they'll be stubborn. They'll try to go through it. Most people, They won't. You know what I mean? Because if your stick's in the way, they'll just have to go
In part
around
because
it.
you need to make an all-world play to be able to go through.
And
so.
not everyone can make all
Exactly.
world plays. It's bang on. You're bang on with that.
We do have to wrap up today's show. I do think this was a fun thing. I'd like to do it a little bit more, maybe refine it a little bit. If you guys liked it, please let us know in the comments. We did forget to do super chats the other night, so sorry to the Walrus and the other person that we got a super chat from. I totally forgot. My bad. That is it for this show, though. We will be back tomorrow looking around the league, talking about how the Winnipeg Jets never lose, probably. I don't know, some other stuff, too. So please join us for that. We're also very, very close to 100K subscribers. So like and subscribe. Do that good stuff. We are out of here for the day, and we will talk to you tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.